Elizabeth E. Warren, Beto, Booker, oh my, oh my. That's what they wrote for me. That's kind of crazy. Night one of the Democratic primary debate begins in a few hours, and Team Rising is here to help us unpack the whole thing.
So, Emily Sussman, Democratic strategist, the senior advisor at Swing Left, and the host of your primary playlist. Liz Harrington is the RNC national spokeswoman. We are so lucky to be joined by this panel. The big debate is tonight. Well, actually, more like the small debate, the junior debate.
We can all get along together.
We're all going to get along, but nobody's. Yeah. All right. So, okay, Emily, this one is for you. Cory Booker, he's out today. The New York Times, big profile. Is his moment yet to come? I say no. What do you think?
I say yes. I think this is a good opportunity for him to really introduce himself as a presidential candidate. I think a lot of what's broken through about him for the last couple of years is, will he be a rising star? How much of a rising star? And so people are aware of his name, but I don't think they really know how much he really does connect, especially when he's talking about issues that he's really passionate about, which I think are really going to come forward. So I actually think the two candidates who this is the biggest opportunity for them, especially given the fact that a lot of the really big names are on the second night, so the first night, I think the candidates are Booker and Castro, actually. I think there's a lot of opportunity for him.
That's a
Beto, I think, I think that Castro's been under the radar, and I think that he hasn't gotten the shine that he should, honestly. He has interesting policies. He implemented a lot as mayor of San Antonio. And look, the Latino electorate is a huge piece for the Democratic Party.
Sure.
So Liz, are the Republicans worried about either of these guys, Cory Booker or Julian Castro?
I can't say we're too worried. The last time Cory Booker tried to have his Spartacus moment, it didn't go too well. And they're one and the same, to be honest. They're pushing very radical policies. Cory Booker says the planet cannot sustain meat production anymore. He compares
he's a vegan.
global warming to fighting the Nazis, defeating the Nazis in World War II. Julian Castro is actually leading the way on this open borders agenda. Elizabeth Warren endorsed his policy to not have a border at all and not to decriminalize. That is exactly what it is. If it's no longer a crime, how do you have a border if it's no longer a crime to cross the country
It all depends
illegally?
on how you want to enforce border regulation, and whether or not you're putting people in jail, putting babies in detention centers with no soap and toothpaste.
And no beds, which Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez doesn't want, apparently.
Well, it's interesting because on both of these things, I mean, I'm not sure, is Cory Booker really in the same vein as Julian Castro? Because to me, he seems, I mean, look, the guy gets all this Wall Street money. He's actually much more of kind of a centrist, traditional Democrat, but he uses all of this lofty, aspirational rhetoric. And I wonder, Emily, is it going to come across as phony? I mean, the global warming thing, can anybody really just not roll their eyes at that? I don't.
You guys are
see.
against keeping the earth healthy for human.
No, everybody wants to keep the earth healthy.
Pro hamburgers and pro hot dogs.
And also, like, comparing it to fighting the Nazis, I don't even know if that's helpful. More what I'm asking is that rhetorical style, why is that going to come across as genuine in a field of some talented politicians, not all of them up there.
Not all of them. Not all of them. Well, the place that I actually think they are similar is that they've been executives.
Okay.
And so they have concrete thing they've done that they can point to. A place that I think that Booker will be able to stand out in this crowded field is not just specifics that he was able to implement in Newark, but places that he was able to be practical and work with the private sector and work with the corporate sector and actually work towards real solutions for the citizens that did actually have outcomes for Newark. So I think that's really going to make him stand out. I think the format is challenging for anybody. In a 60 seconds and then 60 seconds responses and then 30 seconds to back it up, I think can be challenging for a politician who has a lot to say and is trying to introduce themselves to a national stage. I think a lot of the language that Booker uses, the longer form, the flowery language, the place that it really connects and it is doing well is in retail politics, is on the ground when you have one-on-one conversations, and that's where he's doing well.
I was in South Carolina last week, and I heard from a lot of people that Cory Booker has the best ground operation in the state of South Carolina. He's spending a lot of time down there. People say don't count him out. He is somebody to watch, and he could surprise people when it comes time for the South Carolina primary. But the question I have for you is, Liz, is the president apparently put full-page ads in the Miami Herald today, talking about, or someone in the Republican Party put full-page ads in the Miami Herald. Does that mean the president's worried about what the Democrats are doing, that he feels like he's got to get into the conversation because people aren't talking about him and he's getting the heebie-jeebies?
No, not at all. I think Florida is obviously a hugely important state, and that's why the president kicked off his campaign in Orlando last week. And now the Democrats are obviously having their first debate in Miami. And I think it's a good opportunity to show the contrast. Miami has a huge Cuban-American population. What were they fleeing from? Socialism, communism. These are the ideas that the modern-day Democratic Party and everyone in the 2020 race is advocating for.
Well, not everyone. I actually have to
Get in there.
You say Cory Booker is this moderate. He's a co-sponsor to Bernie Sanders' socialized medicine plan, which is calling for kicking off 180 million Americans off their private insurance.
He actually doesn't support raising out, but he actually said that those are the principles he'd like to work toward on universal coverage, but keeping in private insurance, which actually more candidates are for that than not. Medicare for all is really a standard of principles to get everybody on universal health care insurance. It doesn't mean that everybody actually gets coverage, and I actually think that's the biggest divide on healthcare of the Democratic candidates. Everybody supports
the how.
It's the how. It's the how.
We should talk about the other candidates, though. So we have Bill de Blasio, John Delaney, and Tulsi Gabbard. De Blasio, in particular, I really am curious to see how he handles this one, because he's kind of beclowned himself. I don't know if you saw this, the fake text messages between himself and his son, in which it was he was preparing for the debate by text. He was like, "Hello, son, this is your dad. How should I prepare for the debates?" The signs.
Some people should stay off of social media, really.
Yeah,
there is such a thing as trying too hard.
So many missteps in his particular campaign. I do wonder, though, the man is the mayor of one of the biggest cities in America. I think the biggest city in America.
Yeah.
How did he get elected by doing this? But B, is he going to, to your executive point, is he going to be able to shine whatsoever in this?
Yeah, fix the New York City subway system. Honestly,
right, exactly.
Can you please just go back home and fix the New York City subway system? I almost think that his presence highlights what I think a lot of Democrats are feeling, which is there are Democrats in this race that have other opportunities to either continue their legacy at home or where they're currently elected, or be running for a different office that is going to be very key for Democrats, whether it's governor or Senate. Look, there's two people running from Texas in a very vulnerable Senate seat that actually could be a presidential swing state if there was a strong Democrat running at the top of the ticket. There actually are good Democrats in that race. I think MJ Hegar is an incredible candidate in the Senate race, so I don't want to belittle her in any way. But Bullock running in Montana, it only points out that that's the biggest thing I think de Blasio
here's
highlights.
my prediction on this. I think this summer, it's the summer of love, is what I've been calling it in my Hill columns, right? Everybody's going to have a good time. Everybody enjoys. Anybody who's been out on the campaign trail knows it's fun to be on a campaign, especially in the summertime. You go to festivals and fairs and take your kids out. The Iowa State Fair is coming up. But then what's going to happen is there'll be a fundraising deadline the end of September.
Right.
And we will see in that fundraising deadline who came to play and who's just playing.
Do you think de Blasio is going to make it that far?
I think if you're in past July 1st, you're in till the end of the summer, because why get out now? Right?
I heard there's fried butter.
Exactly. Get a fried Snickers and a fried butter.
John Delaney proposed. He started his campaign 2 years ago. Yesterday was a 2-year anniversary. I have not seen a single dent that he has made on the ground, despite, he's got the CNN town hall. He's done so much. I think, Liz, one of the things I'm interested in from the RNC perspective is, does the Republican Party welcome the large Democratic field? Or would it prefer a smaller Democratic field that it could focus its energy on?
I don't think it matters either way, because again, we're talking about de Blasio here as a complete joke, can't run his own city, and yet his ideas are pretty mainstream among the candidates, the Green New Deal. He's talking about banning glass skyscrapers. This guy is a joke, and yet the policies he's advocating for are mainstream in the Democratic Party today. So I think it does not matter how many candidates are running. At the end of the day, there's going to be one, and they're going to have a lot of policies to answer for.
What about Tulsi Gabbard? This is a sleeper that I actually think could have a big moment. She has a huge internet following. Anything that she would say on foreign policy is obviously going to be dramatically challenged by most of the other people that are on that stage. Emily, do you think that by sticking in that lane that she has a chance in order to rise some in the polls, because people are very upset. I mean, the Iran thing has everybody really talking about the prospect of war. Nobody wants war, including President Trump. So when we look at this, do you think Tulsi Gabbard might have an opportunity there?
I think this is the place that I mean, this is going to be her lane, right? Like she's clearly doubling down on foreign policy. I think a lot of rhetoric that you hear from Democrats like me and people that talk about it is, it's good to have people in the race and it changes the conversation. I think her in the race is truly someone who changes the conversation because she does hold a very different perspective than a lot of other Democrats on foreign policy, and that she speaks from military experience. There are a lot of combat veterans, her being one of them, that are in this race. She is the only female combat veteran. I think it's great for the party that we do have a female combat veteran who is running for president. And I think that having her there holding one side of the foreign policy spectrum does really force the other candidates to have a perspective and respond to it.
Right. Liz, what do you think for Tulsi Gabbard's chances tonight?
Not very good. I mean, her foreign policy ideas are very fringe. I mean, her views on Syria, so I don't think she has a very strong chance.
All right.
Everybody's sort of fringe for you. They're all fringe. All right. We got a
parts of the left.
We got a little more to talk about on all of this. We got a lot to get into. I've got a theory I want to run past Emily. So we're going to do that right after this break. We'll be right back with more on the debates.